Celtics win 87-79. Jared Sullinger, Jeff Green getting funky with it. This is the Garden Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. Welcome to the Garden Report. My name is Jared Weiss. With me, as always, Jimmy Toscano. And with us this time, B-Jax, Brendan Jackson, from CelticsChub.com.
Good to have you.
Is that what it's called?
Ooh, close.
CelticsHub.com.
It's not Celtic Chub. It's an S, not a C.
Depends on how well they play, I guess, right?
That's right.
That's right. But they are the True Hoop affiliate in Boston, covering the Celtics. Friend of the show, B-Rob's been on a couple times. B-Jax is now on. I think this is the first time we've actually gotten the chance to do the show together.
That's right. Evans and I did it the other time.
Right, let's hold hands for a minute.
Love. Just commemorate this.
Love. It's a bearded bond. Jimmy's got a little bit of a beard.
Yeah.
Actually, they have the red beard.
2 months strong on this guy right here.
All right, so I'm ostracized, but we'll talk about Jeff Green, who makes his 1-year anniversary game, a spectacular one. 1 year being heart surgery, of course.
Right.
Jared Sullinger went beast mode throughout the game, had a career high in a certain number, but I'll leave it for later for this guy over here to extrapolate on. Avery Bradley's defense, I think, is helping this team, so we'll talk about that a little bit.
Debatable.
This is the first time we've gotten to really talk about it since Bradley's really come in and taken over the defense, and then we'll ball up at the end of the show. So let's start with Jeff Green. Doc had something to say about Jeff's return tonight. Let's take a look.
It's a good night. You know, he got some dunks and looked good, and, you know, who would have thought it a year ago? So it's really, I mean, the doctors and all that, but it's really a testament to Jeff in general. The fact that he worked himself into the condition that he did, there had to be some kind of fear somewhere, you know, because to work yourself in condition, you have to use that muscle. So it's just really cool that he's playing, and he's playing well for us. Well, I was more concerned about Jeff's health. You know, I wasn't thinking about basketball at all, I can tell you that. Honestly, at that time, I didn't think he'd ever play, so the basketball part wasn't even a concern. You know, the 2 things that bugged me the most, obviously, was his condition was number 1, and then the contract that was voided, because it had to be legally, you know. And I was thinking, man, this kid's worked his whole life to make a living, and now he was signing the biggest deal of his life at that point, and it's gone, you know. And so, you know, now he's back playing, doing well in all those areas, and I'm very happy for him. He deserves it.
And you see Doc there talking about how he was saying how Jeff had worked his whole life towards this, and to think that Doc actually fought in at least the immediate aftermath, to think that Jeff not get to play again, worrying about his livelihood, his life. I mean, it was a really scary moment. And then seeing how forceful he was tonight. I mean, B-Jax, let's move past the whole what a turnaround thing.
Right.
I mean, how game-wise, how has Jeff improved over the past few weeks from earlier in the season? He was really inconsistent.
Well, he's being more aggressive, and you saw tonight he was more aggressive. I mean, the transition dunks are nice, don't get me wrong. It's great to see him get up and really throw it down. But the play I'm looking at to show that he's really starting to turn a corner is that move he had on Beasley, where he does that, where he holds the ball out and just goes around him to the right, and he left Beasley like way behind. And it's not like Beasley's a world beater on defense, but
many people leave him way behind.
Right, exactly. But the fact that he was able to see that and take advantage of it, it was nice to see for sure.
Yeah, like you said, that first step, he has an explosive first step, and there was, I think earlier in the year, he was getting sort of stopped when he tried to make it. He would get complacent, he would stand there with the ball. I think now what we're seeing is he's making a first move and he's blowing by some guys. And when he does get in the open court, like Doc said, like he said in the past, I mean, when he's out in the open court, I mean, there's not many guys that can stop him. He's really athletic, he's big, he's fast, and we see when he gets enough space, he'll throw it down in your face. Jermaine O'Neal saw that firsthand tonight.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. There's a little welcome back for J.O. I mean, he tried to get out of the way at the last second, but Jeff got him.
Yeah, well, Jeff has really improved his dribble penetration, especially on the baseline. Actually, I asked Doc about it after the game. We'll take a look at that.
You know, we did a couple of them were back cuts, you know, because they're so fearful of him going right where he gets to his right. A lot of people are starting to jump the play, and so we're sitting them on back cuts, and once he gets the steam, head of steam, he's good.
Doc, talking about the way that they're trying to realign how they get Green involved in the attack. Earlier in the year, they were just kind of putting him in the corner where he kind of had a lot of pressure and was susceptible to traps, and they weren't really letting him run with the ball or kind of moving him towards the rim off screens, backdoor, as Doc was talking about. I mean, B-Jacks, do you think that they've improved, that Doc especially, who's been talking about trying to adjust the way he uses his second unit, do you think he's finally figured out how to use them offensively?
I mean, it looks like that, right? I mean, this 4-game stretch that they're going right now has been amazing, culminating it tonight with the bench playing out of their mind. And, you know, you're seeing it not only from Jeff. I mean, Jeff had a monster game, right, with the backdoor cuts, with that backdoor cut dunk.
Yep.
And then playing even with the ball, you know, that like we talked about, driving past Beasley. But also, you know, Courtney Lee's providing ball pressure, and, you know, we can't even begin to scratch the surface on what Avery Bradley's doing.
Yeah, and
We will scratch the surface in a few
we're going
minutes.
to be scratching. I think beginning of the year was tough with Jeff because Doc had him as the 4, he had him as the 3. He was trying to figure out what would work with Green, and he couldn't figure it out, and it was frustrating for Green. I'm sure it was frustrating for Doc, and it was frustrating for everybody watching, saying, you know, well, why are we paying this guy less money? It seems like there's no role for him on this team. Well, we're starting to see now that with, you know, the team in large healthy, that he's starting to find out, you know, what works for him and what works for the Celtics, and he's becoming more confident in his game. The Celtics as a team and his teammates are becoming more confident in giving him the ball and allowing him to do those things. So I think, like anything, it takes time, and I think we're starting to see now a little bit what we expected to see maybe earlier in the year. We're starting to see it slowly but surely now.
Well, I mean, when everyone, like Jeff was brought in to be Pierce's backup, right? So as soon as Pierce leaves, they expect Jeff to like do everything that Pierce can do. You know, at least, you know,
which is
everything he can do, but like slightly worse. But they're different players, you know.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. Pierce is one of the greatest NBA players to play the game. He's one of the greatest Celtics to play the game. It's unfair to think that Green's going to come in and just like take over for Pierce. But I understand that that's the idea, and I think Green probably thinks or has an idea that people expect him to do that too. And if that's what you expect, you're going to be let down. But you just have to let it sort of work its way out and see what they have in the guy before we ship him out of here after 2 months of, you know, lower expectations. Didn't meet our expectations.
I tweeted at halftime, Celtics halftime poll, who the F wants to trade for DeMarcus Cousins right now?
Yeah.
It's amazing how much things change in a week and a half.
Yeah, the last show.
Do either of you want to trade any of these guys, or this package at least, for Cousins right now?
Certainly don't want to trade Avery Bradley or Jared Schroeder.
Right, and I think it's going to take one or both of those guys. And I said the last show we had, I said I didn't want Cousins anyways. I wanted to give this team a chance. And sure enough, they're starting to win games. They're putting it together. They're proving that, I mean, listen, a win over the Suns isn't much. I mean, we're not going to make too much of this win. I mean, everyone's beating the Suns. They've lost 11 road games in a row. But these are the games that they should win, and now they're winning them. And I think they're going to, I think this is a good thing for them to build up. They're building off wins now. Yep. This is the four-game winning streak, the longest streak of the season. It's obviously a long one, but, you know, with the Rockets in town on Friday, maybe that's 5. And then, you know, Monday they got a couple home games coming up. Maybe they can win them out, and we're talking about a completely different team.
And that's the thing with winning the games they're supposed to win, which they weren't doing earlier in the year. When they win the games they're supposed to win, they're kind of, you know, more confident for the games that, you know, maybe take a little bit more out of them. Like Rockets are a good team. You know,
they're exceeding expectations.
Exactly, they're well balanced. You know, they got really good players.
They're scoring better than I think almost every team in the NBA.
Yeah, they got 125 against the Lakers the other day, right? So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game, but winning 4 in a row, playing them on Friday, I think it's going to be good.
All right, we'll kiss Houston's ass on the Friday edition of the Garden Report, but let's kiss Sully's ass a little bit because he had a huge rebounding night, efficient night for him. He talked about being a go-getter for the boards, but he also had a pretty funny comment about the direction this team is going. Let's take a look at that.
A lot of hard work, but the train doesn't stop here. We gotta keep going. We gotta make it to the next stop, and after that, the next stop. After that, the next stop. So we're the Underground Railroad. Don't know yet.
So they're on the Underground Railroad right now, but B-Jacks, he was all over the place, even though he's on the Under Rim Railroad. 16 rebounds for him. I mean, this guy has been on fire lately, and everyone's talking about it. Everybody in the locker room is talking about it.
Yep, and I mean, Doc said the other day, you know, when he said he's not going anywhere. You know, you see why. You know, some games he might have 5 rebounds, but he's always in the right position. He's always got a hand on it. You know, he's always there to make the play. He just might not always make it. Tonight, he made it. 16 rebounds is unbelievable. And then just keep chugging along. And the most impressive thing I feel about Sully is that he's not getting too hyped. He's having these monster games on a very good team, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famers, and he's just a normal guy, you know.
Yeah, he knows his role. You know, coming in, I mean, he's one of those rookies, kind of like Avery Bradley, that he was kind of humbled as soon as he got into the NBA. I mean, Bradley was a guy that was hyped out of high school and, you know, drafted by the Celtics. There's still a lot of hype surrounding him. Sellinger is the same way. I mean, a lot of hype surrounding him, and when he comes in the NBA, he's surrounded by all these veterans. He just sort of lays low, does his thing. Players aren't being called for him. It's interesting to me is that before the game he said his biggest thing is positioning. Like, he needs to be in a better position, and that's why there's so many fouls are being called on him. You know, he's being nice. I mean, I'm sure some of those fouls, maybe they weren't justified, and, you know, he's a rookie.
Rookie whistle.
Right, but tonight, I mean, when you have 16 rebounds, I mean, you must have been in the position for some of those, the right position. So that tells me that he is learning. He's not just saying it. He's really working to do it. And he's their best rebounder. And it showed tonight. It's a Celtics season high, 16. It's his career high, obviously. So it was good to see out of him.
2 things. 1, he didn't foul out. 2, led the team in minutes.
Yeah.
That was great. Great to see.
Doc brought up the fact that he was labeled as fat when he was in high school.
He said round.
Yeah, and then he said, no, he's round. He's not fat. That's what we have to learn now. He's a new round, I guess we have to take an N out, so Maud of rebound. It's not quite perfect, but take a letter out of there. But let's look at the guy that's really making the biggest impact on the team, even though you're feeling it the most from Avery. Right. But you're seeing it team-wide.
Yep.
The defense is remarkably better so far. They're allowing, it was 86, I think, a game coming into tonight's game. They only allowed 79, so that number's going down to about 83 or so. But they're playing like the elite defense that they've been the last couple of years. Big differences are KG going back to the 5, rotating just so well, especially in the New York game. He was just fantastic, covering every single angle of the pivot in the New York game. And then Avery's return has allowed them to have a guy that can make versatile plays all over the perimeter, and it's, I think, allowed some of the other perimeter guys like Rondo and Lee to be a little bit more conservative, and frankly, it's allowed them to make bigger plays. I mean, Jimmy, what's the impact that Bradley's had on the rest of the team? How much better is this defense, and how much can it last?
Big impact, a lot better. It should be able to last all year.
As much as
I threw a lot at you
shoulders
there,
I mean,
exactly.
he was his shoulders were wrapped after the game, which I'm sure is standard for, you know, coming back from that injury or surgery. But listen, he came onto the team. You know, everyone was hoping and praying that it would change the way they play defense, and it did. It sparked a lot of the guys. It's rubbed off on fellow guards. Kevin Garnett said after the game tonight that, you know, Courtney Lee and Avery Bradley, them two are playing great defense at the guard position. They're putting a ton of pressure on opposing guards, and if you can knock 2 or 3 seconds off the shot clock extra and get those, you know, the opposing team into their sets at like 16, 15 seconds into the shot clock, or with left of the shot clock, then I mean that's huge for them, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the box. We're seeing it in the final score. We're seeing it in the win column. His defense, his style of play, his attitude. I mean, he is right up. I saw a couple pictures from last game. He is like right here on you, dude. Like right up in your face, like this.
Is that Polo?
Yeah, no,
it's nice.
Yeah. I did a little extra before he came on the show, but yeah. So that's how close he is. You can smell the scent of him on you.
Delaying.
Fantastic scent.
Yeah. Delaying the opponents, like getting into their offensive sets in the half court, is great, right? You know, knocking out the shot clock is great, but it's also pressuring the ball up the court is also adding like the added dimension of, you know, he's getting into opposing point guard's head, like cutting down on passing angles. Like point guard's staying there, like I can't make that pass, and you're seeing a ton of deflections, and that's what's been amazing about this defensive turnaround. That's what it is.
And the intensity has been so amazing. I had to take my glasses off, and B-Jackson's getting homoerotic up in here. I mean, it's a fun atmosphere right now. I mean, just really quickly, do you guys feel the difference in the locker room over the past couple of weeks since Avery's come back?
It's definitely lighter, I'd say. Everyone seems in a better mood. I mean, they're winning too. Like tonight was a big win. I mean, it wasn't against a division opponent or even opponent in their own conference, but you know, coming home after taking care of business on the road and not having a letdown is huge for this team at this moment.
Yeah, you were just kind of bracing. the game started, and you're hoping that they weren't going to lose by 15 tonight, or
Right.
something that would totally reverse
Like, here it
everyone.
comes,
Yeah, here we
right?
go again. But this was good. It was good for them to come back and pick up where they left off in New York. It was good for, that translated over. I mean, when you win, listen, when you win, you get a good locker room. When you lose, you get a bad. It's like that every locker room. So obviously with Bradley coming in and Celtics winning at the same time, yeah, those two, they're related to each other. And I think that the team we've seen the last 4 games is more so the Celtics that we're going to see the rest of the year than the team we saw in the first 31 games. Because I just think that the way they were playing to start the year was just way too bad for them to play that way with the talent that they have in their team. I mean, this isn't a team, this isn't a bunch of young guys. I mean, we know what these guys are. They're not washed up, and the young guys on their team aren't nobodies. These are guys that have proven in the past in different phases, different times in their careers that they can win, and I think we're going to see that more now than obviously we did.
Yeah, and I'm going to be interested to see if they do have like kind of a bump in the road, they get a loss, to see how the locker room responds. Because early in the year, you could hear it in everyone's voice. No one was happy. No, everyone was wondering why they're having inconsistencies, why they were playing badly, why people didn't know the defensive rotations, things like that. There's a lot of frustration. I want to see how close the locker rooms come from these wins. From not only the wins are great, right? They're the end all be all, but they're playing better. It's not like they're playing like crap and just getting wins because they're good, they're talented. They're playing great. And so I want to see how they rally around. If they lose a tough one or even get blown out, they say, that's okay, we'll get them next time, instead of the,
Right, and real quick, I just think the Houston game is going to be a big game because they did get blown out by Houston, and I think that was one of those games where we were really surprised because at the time Houston wasn't playing. I mean, they maybe were just starting to play as well as they're playing now. Nobody expected them to be as good as they were. So I think the Celtics, in the back of their mind, saying, okay, this is our last chance to get these guys. It's doubtful that they're going to meet in the NBA Finals. So let's see how they do on Friday again.
Don't go that far. You got James Harden there.
Well, hey, maybe the Celtics.
Chandler Parsons' real deal, okay?
That's true. And I think it's important to note that it is one of the best backcourts in the league. You want to see a test for how much Avery Bradley has really revolutionized his team. Let's see how they do against James Harden and Jeremy Lin, who had huge games the other night too, or last night against the Lakers.
Yeah, they'll be up for it.
Or 2 nights ago for those watching this broadcast, but live for us. Let's see. We got 15 minutes before midnight. So last night's still.
Don't lie to them. This is all green screen.
Exactly.
Not really.
We're filming. Gosh.
We are really here, and we are really going to ball up right now. B. Jackson, you hit lead off right now. Baller of the night, I think it's kind of an obvious pick for you.
Yeah.
Because you're a big man, you got a big booty. Yeah, let's get bootylicious with it.
I wish I was a better rebounder. At least like my baller of the night, Jared Sullinger. And I know it's the easy pick. I mean, his best game of his career, 12 points, 16 huge rebounds. The guy is just a pleasure to watch because from what we've seen in the past years, the Celtics team being completely inept on the glass.
Yeah.
Seeing a guy who knows how to rebound, knows how to get in position, just knows how to play the opponents. He's always got one hand on, just grab him with one hand.
Oh yeah, he's a little dirty little player.
Oh yeah, he's got some Reggie Evans in him, and he's got some shades of Kevin Love.
Barkley, Rodman, some of the best rebounders in the game.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame yet.
I think he's better than Rodman and Barkley right now.
Oh yeah.
But
what Barkley and Rodman never had was being my baller of the night, and that's what.
So true. So I hope it doesn't get to his head.
If only you did the Garter report when you were 14 years old.
My baller night, that was a good baller night, by the way. I would agree with you. However, I'm going to choose Jeff Green. I thought that Green was the other player on the Celtics that really sparked the team. And obviously, a year ago today, coming back from the heart condition, it was an emotional day for him. He was fighting back tears after the game. He's not an emotional guy, so that goes to show you how big of a day it was for him to come out strong like he did. I thought the second quarter with the dunks were huge, and he had a steal. He had 8 points in the second quarter, and I thought that was a big quarter for the Celtics. Even though they ended up giving it all back in the third quarter, I thought that was a big moment for him and for the Celtics.
Solinger.
Damn it, you.
No, okay, seriously.
The mic.
I mean, with Solinger, I thought what was so great was that I thought he rebounded in a lot of different ways. He had his patented kind of get one arm into a guy at the one, but he also had rebounds over, kind of bouncing far rebounds. Those are usually the ones that he doesn't get into. But this guy, you're starting to see he's got that. Screw it, Rodman, he's the guy you have to go with.
It's better than Rodman.
what was great about those guys was, I forget who it was, someone was talking about how Dennis Rodman had this, I think it was Doc actually, had this amazing ability.
Doc has mentioned Rodman more than once.
Yeah, Doc loves Dennis Rodman, you know, but he had this ability to read the rim like nobody else really could. I think Kevin Love is the guy that Doc compared him to, because I guess it was the Minnesota game. But I'm starting to see that out of Sullinger. He just reads the rim and he's moving, even though he can't, you know, because he was getting rebounds behind Gorton. Yeah. Gorton's got a few inches on him,
and
got a little
better
bit of
leaper.
Exactly. And I mean, not any more hair, though, so he's more that advantage. But the thing though was that you were seeing Sullinger going up for the rebound right at the split second that he was hitting the rim, because he's reading the angle that it's coming from, he's reading the power of the shot, and so he makes up for his lack of a leaping ability by knowing where the ball is going to be bouncing off of the rim, and he can go attack that rebounding opportunity better than that, quicker than anyone else, and his hands are so soft, every single rebound, if he gets 3 fingers on it, he's catching it immediately, and even if he's having to tip him off, he's really good at tipping him off too, so for him, I thought it was just his best, not just in numbers, but as far as dynamic skill for rebounding, his best of the season. Best, obviously, of his career, because this is his first season. I'm pretty sure one means he's a rookie. I'm not very good at counter. I was really good at math.
He really does have soft hands, though. I wonder what he uses for hand motion. What do you think?
I don't know.
I'm thinking like Eucerin or maybe or something.
I don't use a ton of it.
Yeah, you get some
rough man hands. I'm sorry.
We say dapped him up one time. Outside of the hand, softer than you expect. You know, both he and I have a little bit of pudgy hand going on that kind of makes the skin on the outside a little bit softer, so that really helps. Now we're about to wrap it. Something just dropped in the background.
You sure you don't want to talk about your hands anymore?
No, I think we should talk about our hands a little bit longer. So for B-Jax from Celtics Hub, is that how it's pronounced?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Celtics Hub. It's a soft H, actually.
Very soft H. Jimmy Toscano from Celticsblog. My name is Jared Weiss. Celtics win 87-79, that's the score, over the Suns. We'll see you for the Houston game on Friday. This is the Gardner Report of Celticsblog and CLNS Radio.